When I was a child, I was molested. I was R-A-P-E-D by a grown man. I was only 10, 11. The funny thing is, now that I'm an adult and I can speak about my trauma and everything, this shit is still happening. We need to sit down and speak up about how these systems are built to R-A-P-E-D children, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And that sets them up for failure. The saddest part, that this shit still happens today. Question is, why these systems are still operating? Because we aren't speaking up, we aren't using our voices. And this is why I devote my life to saving people and speaking my truth. The only reason why I am not failing today is because I have a powerful voice. The only reason why I am not failing is because of my intelligence. It is sad that children are still being taken advantage of by these systems. Protect the kids. Every child matter. When I see these rallies that these systems, make money off of, save the kids, every child matter, just to collect money. Just to collect money. The sick kids. Just to collect money, and deep down in their heart, they don't even give a fuck about the kids. That is just a front for what happens behind the scenes. I said, with these rallies and these fundraisers about protecting the kids, every child matters, that is just a facade on what they really do behind the scenes to these same kids that they're making money off of, talking about fucking protecting the kids. The question is, why these systems are still operating today? I'll tell you. Because deep, systematically, deep-rooted, they're protected by systems, a whole big entity that makes sure that system is there to stay. But it is sad that children today still are being taken advantage of. And it really set the kids up to fail. And now that child, like me, got to spend their whole life healing from what the system did to them. The difference between me and some of those kids that have been taken advantage of by the system is that, you know what? We don't walk around as victims. I never walk around as a victim. I said, you know what? I can't blame myself, and I can't carry a weight of something that wasn't my fault. Some people wear the victim coat so good that they don't even know it's not their fault that you've been touched. I said some victims, some people wear the trauma like it was their fault. It is not your fault that someone touched you. That's not your fault. You can't blame yourself of the incompetence that is around you. That is not your fault. When I was molested in the children's home, let's get down to brass tacks. When I was molested in the children's home, they did nothing. The guy that molested me, he gave the staff in the children's home gifts. Expensive gifts, expensive perfumes, and watches. And they did nothing. So I had to carry that trauma and everything. So they transferred me from one children's home to another children's home so they wouldn't question me there, thinking that that would have changed the trauma. This is why everyone that had a dealing in ISIS being touched as a fucking child, you have to pay. You gotta answer to someone that's bigger than you, your boss. You gotta answer to the Most High. Because one thing you don't do is touch kids. You don't touch children. Anyone that touch Children deserve the electric chair. Save the children. And I mean it with my heart. Save the children. The only thing that actually is different about me than a lot of people that have been abused and sexually abused and misused is that I am intelligent. I never blame myself because I was molested. And I want to say this to children or people that have been molested. It's not your fault. It's not your fault that a grown man doesn't have discipline. It's not your fault that a grown adult is incompetent of doing the right thing. That is not your fault. That is a falsehood that your abuser gave you. Your fault that I abuse you. It is your fault that you were sexy. It is your fault that you were wearing that dress. It is your fault that you are a gay little boy. It is not your fault. That is not your fault. So take off the weight. Take off that traumatic coat that you wear so beautifully. Take it off. Speak your fucking truth. Walk boldly. And help other children realize it's not their fault. It is not your fault that you have been molested. It is not your fault that someone touched you inappropriately. They weren't disciplined enough to know that this is a child, this is not right. Let me touch someone my age. That's not your fault. That is their fault. But they want to transfer that trauma and that belief onto you to make you think that it was your fault. So remember that.